the performance, to grow the performance, both as individuals and as teams, as we will talk about today. Our speaker today is Steve Neale. I know that a lot of you know him, and if you don't, you can look forward to get to know him. Steve has a lot of degrees, as you can see. Among other things, he is a psychologist, an executive coach, hypnotherapist. He's also international speaker and author, and many more things. Steve is also a partner in business for me and a friend in life for me for a lot of time, for many years. So look forward to this, and over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. And good morning, afternoon, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to jump right in and ask you a question. What percentage of your day, every day on average, do you think is managed by your limbic system? This is the Limbic leadership program. This is the Limbic performance system. So we better speak about the Limbic system. So what percentage? Think about all the actions that you take, the decisions you make, the choices, the performance that you perform. How much of that on average is managed by your limbic system, which, by the way, is your subconscious brain? It's somewhere between 95 and 99%. And that is most of it. So your limbic system is really the part of your brain that it would benefit you to get to know, to learn, to understand, because so much of the subconscious habits that you have are useful, like making your cup of coffee, having your shower, tying your shoelaces. You don't have to think about those things, and that's a good thing. Your subconscious has learned it, remembered it, and now you're thinking about other things when you do those. But what about the bad habits? What about the habits that you and I all have that are not necessarily serving you in your self-leadership or serving you in your relationships, in your leaderships of others or of teams or of organizations that are not necessarily serving you? Wouldn't it be cool if you could raise awareness of them, and then you had a toolkit for literally reprogramming your brain so that you formed more beneficial, lasting habits for yourself and others? If you're interested in that, then that's what this session is all about. And you are nothing, which doesn't mean to be a really critical statement just to start off the webinar and offend everyone on this call. That's not my intention. But another important thing to remember is all of us are actually nothing. And what I mean by that is we are 99.99% energy. We think of ourselves as solid. We think of ourselves as matter. You know, you can see and feel your arm, you can touch your body, but actually you're just made up of a whole bunch of molecules. And each molecule is essentially a cell membrane and a little bit of things in the middle, like the nucleus. But essentially within that cell, it's nothing. It's actually vibrational energy. And this is really important to understand as well. We are all just energy. And later in this session, I'll be talking about the 4 main pillars of energy that you possess as a human and how we can start to understand and manage them. And also, I'm going to relate energy to your goals and also dispel the myths about time management, because I don't believe time management exists. So here's what's coming up, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a packed hour. I'm going to talk about personal power and something I call the TFD triangle. I will introduce you to elephants and riders for those of you that don't know this model. I'll share with you how your beliefs define your reality. We'll talk a little bit about energy management and how that's way more important than time management. I'll get you to consider which mountain you're climbing right now, and is it the right one? And I'm talking about your personal and professional goals, your organizational goals. I'm going to talk about love and how it's an antidote to fear, and help you to realize how these concepts are not just relevant to romantic relationships, but love is very much an integral part of life and your work as well. And then I'm going to wrap up by talking a little bit about change and elephants, and share with you a really exclusive offer that is my gift to you for attending today's webinar. So that's what's coming up. It's a packed hour ahead. Personal power. This is my definition. It is, you know yourself, that you are all your successes and failures are your own. So you're taking responsibility for yourself and your actions. It's the opposite of being a victim. And quite understandably, it's easy for many of us to feel a little bit like victims right now, because a lot of our so-called power to choose, to travel, to work in a certain way has been taken away from us. And I'm not going to get into a political debate on why that is. Many people have their different theories on that. But I think more than ever, we need right now the chance to step into our personal power. And your personal power lies in a little magical triangle called the thinking, feeling, doing triangle that is connected to every experience you have as a human. So everything that occurs to you or happens to you in life, all your experiences every day are related to the way you think about that experience, the feelings you have in relation to that experience, and then what you actually choose to do, your actions, your performance, your output. And all of this is talking about energy, is an energy exchange. Your thoughts are electrical energy, your feelings are chemical energy, and your actions are kinetic energy. And energy can't be created or destroyed. It's a basic law of physics. So it just gets converted from one form to another. So if you're having negative thoughts or unnecessary what if worrying thoughts, it will impact on the way you're feeling. Those electrical energy thoughts will impact on the chemical changes in your body, and ultimately they may stop you. If you're coming from a place of fear or worry, it tends to put us into fight or flight or freeze response. So it will impact on your actions. And if you're having positive thoughts, or you're performing actions that you enjoy doing, or you're feeling well and you're taking care of your emotional health and your physical health through your diet and your nutrition and your lifestyle, you're more likely to have those positive flows of energy happening. And in order for you to be able to become a master of the thinking, feeling, doing triangle that is part of every experience you have, you can't be it. You have to be able to step outside of it. You see, people who think or believe, I should say, that they are their thoughts, they are their feelings, and they are their actions. And you'll hear them saying, well, I'll never be a good presenter. I'm always tired in the mornings. I've never had the luck that my brother had. These kind of statements are the classic statements of someone who has caught victimitis and doesn't yet realize or believe or know that he or she can change the way he wants to think, feel, or behave, if they choose to do that. But when you step outside of this triangle, and the place to do this from is the non-judgmental, mindful, curious observer. So when you step outside and you look at this triangle, you realize that you can notice what you're thinking. You can notice how you're feeling, and you can become more aware of your behaviors and actions. And once you've done that and you're in this place of mindful awareness, you're also in a place where you can choose to change things if you want to. This is the start of change. We're not going to change stuff that we're not even aware of, right? So it's up to you to take the responsibility to become more aware of the way you're thinking, feeling, and acting. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And if you see some stuff you like, do more of it. And if you see some stuff that you feel is not serving you or your relationships with others right now, then make a choice to change it. And believe me, I can share with you as much as I can today and in future programs, ways in which you can do that. And I can guarantee you can. And ultimately, what you do there is you change your beliefs. And when your beliefs change, then the new autopilot forms. You kind of reset your autopilot. So new habits come that are more beneficial to you and to others. So elephants and riders is a metaphor that I've been using for many years now, just to explain a little bit about the power. See, your limbic system is your subconscious brain, and it evolved on top of our reptilian brain. Our reptilian brain is our spinal cord, and around that, a little structure grew called the limbic system. It is the emotional center of the brain. And it also encodes all of the core beliefs, attitudes, and memories that you have because of your experiences in life so far. So for example, if you have a belief, you have to work hard to play hard, well, then you will. And you will find yourself working long hours until you're absolutely exhausted. And then you just do nothing, or you go and jump into your so needed holiday until you eventually burn yourself out, because that kind of cycle will burn you out in the long term. And these beliefs, therefore, are often taught to us or introduced into our lives because of our role models in life, our parents or our teachers. But they're not necessarily serving us today. So you've also got something that I call the rider, and the rider is your rational brain in the prefrontal cortex. It thinks, it understands, it's intellectual. It is the part of your brain that is responsible for understanding language, writing spreadsheets, delivering KPIs, whatever you want to call your targets in your company. It's the rational brain. And as you can already see from this slide, it's not that powerful compared to the limbic system. On average, every second, there are about somewhere between 10 and 100 neurons, 10 and 100 nerve cells actively firing in the rational brain. Whereas in the subconscious brain, the limbic system, the part of your brain that is responsible for 95 to 99% of every day of your life, you've got around about 6 billion nerve cells actively firing every second. That's why it manages 95 to 99% of your day. So I have dedicated my working career so far, at least the last 20 years of it, to helping people create lasting change. I'm not interested in quick fix. So, we in the LPS team are not interested in the honeymoon effect or the New Year's resolution that generally doesn't last beyond February. We're interested in working at a scientific, psychological, evidence-based level of how can we work with this subconscious brain, this limbic system, to reprogram it so the changes that you desire and want in your life are lasting and beneficial, and they become habits, they become automatic. And Joe Dispenza, the author of many books, including Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, he says that neurons that fire together wire together. And he's absolutely true. So most of us, when we're on autopilot, we think the same thoughts every day. We feel the same feelings very often each day, and we do the same things. We repeat the same habits. So we deal with conflict in the same way. We respond in the same way to our colleague at work. We make our coffee in the same way every morning. We drive the same way to work. And basically, what that does each time we think, feel, or act in the same way is it fires the same pathway in the brain and it makes it stronger. It becomes more hardwired. And then we sit there and we realize sometimes in the evenings over a glass of wine or whatever it is we're doing, I'm not quite happy with my life. I'd like to have more financial freedom. I'd like to spend more time sitting by a swimming pool in the sun. I'd like to have a more loving relationship. I'd like to get better results and get my team more motivated at work. This is not going to happen by magic. We actively have to take a conscious decision to start stepping on new pathways. And it's a little bit like a pathway in a field of crops, okay? So right now on the right-hand side of this slide, you see that there is a clear pathway. Imagine that's a neuronal pathway where you've walked on the same path so many times that now it's made its clarity in the field of crops. And if we keep thinking, feeling, and acting the same, that pathway is not going to change, and our habits won't change. So in order to create new habits, in order to create whatever it is that you're looking for in your life or for your team right now, maybe you want a more motivated team. Maybe your team feels disengaged and you're having to learn new habits because everyone's been forced to work at home and you can't meet up anymore. Maybe morale and engagement levels have dropped. Maybe you've got to change the way in which your organization works right now because it simply doesn't survive in the old way of working in the world that used to be. Or maybe on a personal level, you want to stop your sleepless nights. You want to have a better understanding and less arguments with your spouse or with your children. Maybe you want to feel that you have more energy and motivation for your work like you used to. So the only way to do that is you've got to start walking down a different pathway. You've got to change the way you think about things. You've got to learn to manage and adapt your feelings in relation to things. And ultimately, you've got to take a step and you've got to make the conscious, energetic effort to start and form new habits. And actually, I've written here, experience is the key. You can read development books. You can listen to webinars like this. You can join, the course that I'm going to share with you at the end. And, you can make a decision to make change. But the only way that your elephant ultimately is going to reprogram itself is when you take that leap of faith and you put yourself into new experiences. And be honest, and I'm not criticizing anyone, I've done it myself. How many times have you attended a webinar, been on a training course, read a really great development book, but you've not actually changed any of your experiences or behaviors? So even though you think it was great, even though your intention was good, you haven't reprogrammed and you haven't persisted long enough to create a different pathway in your field of crops. That's the only way you're going to do it. And it will take time, it will take effort, and it will take focus. Yes, it will. There is no magic wand where, I can suddenly say to you, so you want to have more energy in your life and you want to have better results at work? Well, this is how you do it. Just go do it. You've got to change some of your existing habits. And let's face it, the reason why you are where you are today is a result of the way you think, feel, and act every day so far. That's where it's got you to, right? So do you not owe it to yourself to maybe upgrade the software once in a while? If we keep on playing the same movie script, then eventually that movie gets boring. We all have the need to start playing and watching a new movie once in a while. And that movie that I'm talking about right now is your life. So I believe we owe it to ourselves to do this. And if I know one thing, happy humans are explorers of experience. One of the basic human motivational factors that actually activates something in our brain called the reticular activating center, which produces a motivational response, is growth. Growth comes through learning, and true learning only comes from experience. We have to take the leap of faith, we have to jump in, and we have to try new stuff, even if it feels scary, even if fear will try and hold us back. because your elephant, your subconscious brain, doesn't like change. Even if your rider wants it, your elephant doesn't like change because it's always afraid of anything it doesn't yet understand. So we have to work with tools and ways of soothing the elephant, supporting the elephant, and giving it enough courage to really take that leap of faith into new actions and experiences. And then and only then do we start to form new pathways in our fields. So I want to talk to you now about energy management, which is one of the key things and one of the ways that we can become a master of change, is to start to understand and master our four energies. You see, I believe that time management doesn't exist. An hour, as far as I'm concerned, is an hour, 60 minutes. And I guess all of you there hopefully agree with me. 60 minutes is 60 minutes. But so we can't really do anything about that as long as we all agree on the same concept of time. But how effectively you manage your time and your energy and your creativity and your focus and your levels of patience or empathy and understanding and tolerance and inspiration within that hour, that can vary dramatically. And that's all about energy management. And I'm sure you can relate to this yourself. You've probably had, 1 or 2 hour periods where you've really been in the flow, where that 2 hours was productive and you created great new ideas and, you got a lot achieved. And I'm sure you can all relate to 2 hours as well, where you've procrastinated and you've got distracted and you've got dragged into the world of social media and you've made yourself 4 cups of tea or coffee because you simply can't focus and you're really tired and low on energy and you're frustrated and irritated and you're thinking when you're frustrated and irritated becomes black and white, so you don't see all the gray areas. So we can all relate to this, right? So in the LPS world, we're very much in the business of helping individuals and teams to become masters of their energy management and be more effective at using the allocated time that we've got. And there are 4 energies that we can become masters of as humans, and they're all interconnected. We've got our physical energy. It's our health, it's our nutrition, it's our sport, it's our stamina, it's, the physical state that we are in. It's our mental energy. So it's our thought patterns, it's our attitude, it's our mindset, it's the way in which we frame things. Are you going into a meeting saying, we've got a number of problems we have to fix today? Or are you saying and thinking, we've got a number of opportunities where we could grow today? So the whole way in which our mindset leads us into life will be our mental energy. Your emotional energy, how are you feeling, moment upon moment? And your feelings, your emotional states will change a lot during the same day because you're human. But where is the kind of default? Where is the resting emotion? Where are you spending most of your time? Are you in a state of stress and fear and tiredness, and are your cortisol and adrenaline levels like this all of the time? Or are you managing your emotional states well? And of course, this is all connected to the other energies too. You take care of your nutrition and your physical health. You focus on creating and building for yourself a generally positive, optimistic mindset. Then, of course, your emotions are going to benefit too. And then your spiritual energy. And I'm not going to go into too much woo-woo today. Don't worry, guys. But we all have a spiritual side too, whether it be a sense of meaning or purpose or perspective. So on an organizational level, why do you do what you do? And I don't mean to make profits. I mean, who cares? What makes your heart sing about what you do? And what benefits are you creating for other people in this world? Yeah. Or maybe it's a religious spiritual belief, or maybe it's a nature belief. But it's really important that we have something that gives us this sense of perspective and meaning and purpose too. And what happens is we get into energy spirals. So downward spirals could be something like this. You wake up with a good intention, although you're a little bit irritated because you didn't sleep as well as you could, and you've got a couple of worries on your mind. So you already, as soon as your eyes open, you start to think about how busy I am. And in order to try to relieve that busyness, the first thing you do as a habit in the morning is you jump on to this kind of weird cloud device that gives us an alternative reality and often means we don't see what's happening in the real world in front of us. And we see that a couple of headlines about, well, generally headlines in the news are pretty negative, right? So we feed our awareness and our emotional state with, news of so many more lockdowns and so much more restrictions and so many more deaths. And then we start to worry about that and the state of the world. And then we realize we've got 3 urgent emails that came overnight, from our partners in the States. You need to jump on that. And therefore you neglect to do your morning meditation or yoga or healthy exercise routine. And you jump straight to the coffee because your morning addiction of coffee, by the way, I learned this on a course recently, is basically a substance that plants produce to kill insects. So it's basically an insecticide. But anyhow, so you jump into your morning coffee because you've got a belief that you can't survive without that. It wakes you up. If you want to know what too much coffee is doing for you, try stopping it and seeing what happens to your headaches and stuff for 3 or 4 days. That's already telling you the toxicity of that if it's too much. And then you jump straight onto your computer. So already your stress levels have gone up. You've neglected the physical side of your health, and emotionally you're starting to feel a little bit stressed. And you've lost all sense of perspective and bigger meaning. You've got straight into the small details and the small irritations of the world. That right there is a downward energy spiral. Alternatively, you can choose to start consciously creating more upward energy spirals in your life. So you can say today, do you know what? Tomorrow, when I get up, I'm going to change my morning routine. And I am going to avoid jumping onto my phone for the first, I don't know, hour of the day. Could you imagine that? A whole hour without this third arm. And what I'm going to do is I am going to prioritize, I don't know, a healthy green smoothie. That's the first thing, putting some really good nourishment into my body. Then I am going to go and do my yoga practice or my meditation, or I'm going to listen to some calming music, or I'm going to go for a walk or a run or whatever where you live right now allows. And I'm going to get into my physical body. But when I do that, there's no point in going for your walk or run if the whole time you're on that walk, your mental energy is working against you. Oh my God, I've got so many things to do and I've got to do this and I've got to do this. And oh my God, then you're already, you're counteracting the physical benefits of being out in nature by creating a whole bunch more stress. So you say to yourself on the run or the walk or the time in the gym or the yoga, I just allow myself to be mindful and be grateful for my body. And I'm going to think about what I'm grateful for in my life and allow, myself to just drift my thoughts in that direction. And believe me, after that hour's morning routine, you've already set up and framed your day in a very positive upward spiral. And challenges will come. And, you will get that nasty email from your boss, and you will get a disagreement with your partner, and this will come. This is life. But we've got to give ourselves a shot here, guys, right? And we've got to learn to become masters of our own mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual energy if we're going to give ourselves the best shot here. And just like your current habits, this could also become a habit if it's not already. I'm sure for many of you, maybe it is. So we have to become more aware of these energy spirals. Okay. And then I want to talk to you about goals, because, okay, we understand that we can change the way we think, feel, and behave. We then start to become masters of our energy. And like I said, you know, the programs, the longer term programs that we share and teach will help you with all of these things. And we have got the tools that you can embrace with this. Then we're setting ourselves goals in life. My question to you is, are you climbing the right mountain? I think Stephen Covey very beautifully explains this in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that so many people in life, they set themselves a goal ladder and they climb up that goal ladder only to realize it's leaning up against the wrong wall. So I think it's really healthy to review this sometimes. The goals for yourself, the goals for your virtual team, the goals for your organization. Are you climbing the right mountain? And how are you defining success? How are you defining the success of those goals? So is success purely materialistic? Is it just going to be something you can see on a spreadsheet? Because if that was success, how come you're feeling so tired most of the time? How come you're feeling burnt out? How come you're constantly wishing that you could be lying on a sun lounger in the sun and having a different life? So is it really successful, even if you achieve those goals, if you're not happy? And I want to share with you a concept of success that I've recently been focusing on more and more in my life. And my own belief is the only true measure of success is if the goal that you're chasing is a virtuous goal. And what I mean by that is when you work towards and when you achieve this goal, it benefits you mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So generally your mindset is good and healthy and you're not, you know, taking yourself into negative, destructive thoughts. Physically, the goal that you're chasing enables you to take care of yourself and it's good for your physical health. Emotionally, it feels good and it feels right. And spiritually, it's right up there in terms of your core purpose and meaning and gives you a sense of value and it's worthy. But at the same time, if it's going to be truly virtuous, it also is good for the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health of other people. So it's a win-win. Yeah. You know, is it really successful? And then this might sound a little bit controversial, but nevertheless, is it really successful if your company goes out there and achieves an amazing goal and is really aggressive in its approach and puts another company out of business? And as a result, 500 people in that company lose their jobs and families start to worry and, you know, people are worried about their bills. And some of the people in those families, they start to get anxiety and depression because their livelihood has been taken away. Is that true success? And if we look at ourselves as a more collective humanity, is it sustainable? So it's really worth thinking about. And my good buddy Miko, I'm going to introduce Miko towards the end very soon, and we went on a seminar in Tallinn in Estonia at the start of this year, which was all about this. And we both came away with the same belief, I think, that once the goal that you're chasing, you know it benefits you on all your 4 pillars of energy, and it's good for others, then go out and achieve it in abundance because it's a win-win. You know, it's good for your energy on so many levels and it's good for other people. Then go out and get that goal. Okay. And another thing that's really important to master, which again is some wisdom that has very much come to me in my life in more recent years, is many of us are coming from a place of fear. And the response to fear of not being happy, fear of not having enough, fear of, you know, losing our partner, fear of not having the high performing team, fear of losing our jobs, is we try to control stuff. But that in itself becomes impossible at a certain level, and it becomes unpredictable, and it becomes a stressor in our lives. So I have also embraced, and I would encourage you to think about this, more of a gardener view to life than a carpenter, more of a gardener view to running a company or a team than a carpenter. You see, a carpenter in his life, he sees the perfect chair and he tries to make life fit that perfect chair. But I can tell you, and I'm sure you've all experienced this probably more than ever in the last year, life is unpredictable. And so many elements of life are out of our control. And the more we try to make them into the chair or back to the chair that we used to have, which has gone for all of us, that chair will never exist again in the way that we used to think of as normal. It just creates disappointment, stress. At worst, it creates anxiety. So a much better philosophy is be a gardener of your company, be a gardener of your team, be a gardener of your life. And what I mean by that is you need to make sure the foundations are there. You know, in order for a garden to flourish, it needs a nutrient-rich soil. And we need to take care of that garden. You know, there are times when we need to take the weeds away. We need to make sure the garden gets a sufficient level of sunlight and water, and then it will grow. Then it will succeed. But there's a huge element of unpredictability in that success because we don't know when the buds come out in March if there's going to be a late frost and it's going to kill off some of those flowers again. We don't know, you know, if there's going to suddenly be a storm and it might blow some of the garden away. But as long as you've got the foundations there, and as long as you're not trying to control things too much, you're going to be in a much better position to be less stressed, better energetically to deal with the unpredictability of life. And there's a beautiful example of this that came along in COVID times, you know, that I was reading about a pizza restaurant in New York that had natural wood fire pizzas. And then COVID came along and the restaurant was shut. And they were losing money day after day after day, as has most of the service sector in the last year. The owner of the restaurant, he was a gardener. He was not a carpenter. He was not trying to force his restaurant to be what it used to be and keep it exactly as it was, because he realized that times had changed. And so he started to think creatively. He started to look outside the box. And he discovered that the temperature that his pizza ovens heat up to was exactly the same temperature that was needed for a certain piece of respiratory equipment that was in massive demand during these COVID times. So he turned his ovens into molding devices to create these respiratory gadgets. And he got a contract with a local medical company to put these in the oven and basically bake them into, what he said to his staff was, I'm so sorry, I cannot keep you in your current jobs because we don't need waiters anymore. We've got no customers. We don't need a chef anymore, no one. But what I will do is you can either choose to leave or I will reskill you and I'll give you the training and how we create in our pizza ovens these incredible respiratory devices for this medical company. I think that is a beautiful example of being a gardener in changing times. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you about love. You see, many years ago, I was on a training course with one of my dear friends and colleagues who I co-wrote one of my books with, Lisa Spencer-Arnell. And we were in front of a senior management team of a big multinational. And Lisa started off the training saying, is your organization operating from a place of love or fear? And I was like, Lisa, you can't do that. You mentioned the L word in a company. We can't talk about love in a company. And the more Lisa spoke, the more I realized she made perfect sense. Let me explain. You see, when we're operating in our lives or in our companies or in our virtual teams from a place of fear, it tends to move us away from something. And it throws us into past concerns or future concerns. And it often leads us to setting the wrong goals. If you've got a fear-based goal, it's probably the ladder leaning up against the wrong wall. Fear of not having enough money, fear of losing customers, fear of not being good enough in your job, fear of, losing your romantic partner. So you try to control them and you micromanage the relationship. And then you lose them because they feel that you're possessive, right? So fear-based working and fear-based goals are the wrong goals. When we come from a place of love, it moves us towards fulfillment, virtuous goals, gratitude for the present moment. So not unnecessary worry of the past or worry of the future. And we're more likely to create the right goals. I call them virtuous goals that we can create abundance from. So here's the beautiful thing. In order to overcome fear, we don't need to eliminate fear. We need to just focus more on love. Because it's a bit of a cliche, I know, but it's so true. Love conquers fear. Love eliminates fear. It's a more powerful emotional vibration than fear. And so I would encourage you to ask yourself, coming from a place of love, is what you are doing now making the world a better place? Is what you desire and what you're chasing coming from a place of love or fear? Is it coming from a place of fear of loss, fear of not being liked, fear of judgment, fear of, not buying enough material things, none of which will ever make you happy? They'll just give you a quick dopamine rush until the next craving comes along. Is your team or organization operating from a place of love or fear? And another way of looking at this, are you playing the game not to lose and survive? Then you're in a place of fear. Or are you playing this game of life, this game of running a company, this game of managing a virtual team, this game of success, whatever that is for you, to win? And I say to win-win, so that it also benefits others and is contributing to this world. Vishen Lakhiani, in this win-win part, he talks about our organization's humanity plus. And what that means is this organization purely about profit and greed and more and materialism, and it will just take and suck as much as it can from society? Or is it a humanity plus organization that when it achieves its goals, when it's successful, it's also contributing and giving back to this planet and to the people who live on it? It's helping people. And the goals that you're chasing, are you in survival, like I said, or are you coming from a place of playing the game to win? If you're in a place of survival and fear, your thinking, and remember, your thinking is directly related to your feelings and your actions, so it's all part of this inseparable triangle. Your thinking is going to be restrictive, reactive, impulsive, judgmental, narrow, selfish, and limited. This is the result of fear-based thinking. And if your organization or your team or your virtual team right now is in primarily a place of fear, then you're also going to be approaching that teamwork from a restrictive, impulsive, judgmental, selfish, limited perspective place. Yeah? If you're coming from a place of love, your thinking and therefore your feeling and your actions are going to be expansive, inclusive, divergent, creative, solution-focused, compassionate, and altruistic. So you tell me, ladies and gentlemen, do you prefer this or do you prefer this? And this is not just me being theoretical. There's clear psychological and neurophysiological evidence about when we are tuned into the emotion of love for people, love of what we do, love of the way we spend our time, this will be the direct impact of that. And think about it yourself, you know, when you've been in a loving moment in your life, maybe it's a moment of love because you know, you're really enjoying something you're doing at work. Maybe it's love romantically for your partner. Maybe it's love of a pet. Maybe it's love of the most spectacular sunset you've seen in a long time. When you're in those moments, I can promise you, and sadly for many people, they're very short moments, your thinking is going to be expansive, inclusive, creative, compassionate, altruistic. Everything changes in your whole energy. And if you're living, as many people are, especially right now, a fear-based life, have a look at some of your actions and the way in which you're approaching. Is it restrictive, narrow, judgmental, you know, ego-driven, it's only about me, forget everyone else, and very limited? Are you seeing the full picture? I think not. So a little activity for you guys to take away, one of the many ones that I've been sharing with people recently, is go make your love list. Starts with the words I love. And love should always start with self-love, because you can't truly love others until you've learned how to love yourself. This is a fact. There'll always be, I want something from others in order to fill a hole in me that I don't love about myself. And therefore there'll always be an agenda. But if you love yourself, think about what you love in your work, your relationships, your friends, your family, your health, what you love about your energy, nature, animals, the list continues. And you start to frame things with a focus on the things you love in your life. Think about your work. You know, most organizations, they look at what's wrong and what needs to be fixed and what they don't like about their colleagues and what's not working well with the virtual team right now. What's working and what do you love about that? You know, Chip and Dan Heath call it the bright spots. And what can you do to embed more of those bright spots in your working life? Last thing I want to say, and then I'm going to just wrap up and tell you about an amazing opportunity and also introduce you to a good buddy of mine, Miko, is that naturally your elephant wants to resist change. Even if consciously you know that something is good for you and you want to do it, your elephant is afraid of the unknown. It's a basic survival technique that our subconscious limbic systems have developed. So, you know, we have to learn tools, we have to learn methodologies, we have to learn ways, not that we can logically, rationally, intellectually explain the benefits of change to our elephants. But we have to find ways that our elephants can experience change, and that will generate feelings that means that that elephant wants to continue on that change journey and make it happen. Yeah. That's what we need to do. And we have all of those tools in the limbic performance system. The secret of your future, ladies and gentlemen, is hidden in your daily thoughts, feelings, and actions. And you have the personal power to change the way you think, change the way you feel, and change the way you act. Don't sit back and wait for someone else to do it. Don't sit back and wait for luck to come into your life. Find your virtuous goals, the real goals that are going to bring you happiness and fulfillment and increase your energy and benefit others. Change your thoughts, speech, and actions to make sure you're aligned, and then go and get those goals in abundance. There's a special offer coming up to say thank you for coming today. So I am about to start on the 3rd of March, a 12-week virtual online program where I'll be online live 90 minutes with those that are managed to get their place every week for 12 weeks. As well as that, you'll get full access to my online program, the Limbic Performance System, for the duration of the course. That's over 20 hours of learning and development around the limbic system, going in so much more depth into some of the things I've talked about today. Okay, you can find, if you're not already on that page, you can find that special offer, and Steve is also going to put it in the chat box at this link here. That's where you'll find the offer and where you can sign up. It is valid until the end of business on Friday. it's going to save you around 2,000 euros on the normal price. So we're basically giving away so much. What you're going to get is a 12-week program where we're going to look at in so much more detail how can you become an outstanding leader of yourself and others. We're going to give you tools for engagement and motivation. You're going to get an extensive access to the virtual team effectiveness model, how to really create that outstanding virtual team right now. How can you become a master of your mental, emotional, physical, and purpose-driven energies? If any of you have experienced stress or are, we're going to give you a step-by-step method to relieve and reduce stress in your life. We're going to give you the blueprint to how do you work with your elephants in a 3-step proven process to overcome and become a master of change. We are going to give you the self-belief booster. And if there is one set of beliefs that's more important than any, it's those you have about yourself. So how do you overcome concern about yourself, self-doubt, and start to love yourself? How can you redefine success and make sure that you are on the right ladder, climbing the right ladder? And also we're going to look at values, individual and team values, and how they can be activated to really give you the blueprint and foundation for a happy and fulfilled life. And what you're going to get is the 12 90-minute sessions with me. You're going to get an LPI, a 35-page measurement report in my Limbic Performance System 17 scale model. You will get unlimited access to the online program, 20 hours of videos, actually 30 videos, so more than 20 hours of video. It's about the equivalent of 20 days of training content. There are also some worksheets, some guided hypnosis sessions with me there, and you'll get full access to that. And it's going to be all about implementation. So you'll be paired up with buddies that will rotate to make sure you apply the learning, small bite-sized pieces, week upon week. And all of that would normally cost you 2,500 euros, and we're going to give it to you if you sign up to this in the time period until the end of Friday for just 500 euros. If any of you have got any more questions about that, you can have a talk with Miko, who I'm going to introduce in a moment, or you can message me directly. Okay, Miko, my friend, I'm going to hand over to you just to introduce yourself for literally a couple of minutes, and then I'm just going to wrap up today's session.
Hi, everyone. And hi, Steve, my buddy, my old buddy, old pal. Regards from Tallinn, and I've been working with personal development. I've been a bit of a personal development junkie for most of my adult life, to be honest. And I've gone through a ton of different programs, and I have to say that Steve's LPS has been by far actually the most transformational to myself and my teams. So why that is that Steve has brought together, in my opinion, all the most important personal and team leadership tools in a very easily approachable package. And obviously that is fully customizable to your organization's needs, or your personal needs for that matter. For example, I have taken some of my teams in one of the companies I'm a shareholder of here in Estonia and also Finland. We've gone through Steve's LPS, a customized version 2 times in both countries. There's a ton of really practical exercises also included, and as I said, Steve actually customizes it exactly to your needs. And one of the most transformational exercises has been a topic that Steve touched upon a bit today, but it goes way more intense in a good way during that course, which is called I Like Me. So actually all of our teammates got to present 7 minutes, believe it or not, about the topic called I Like Me, because, and you know, I've given a ton of keynotes in my life, and I have to say that it wasn't an easy one to just talk 7 minutes about why I love myself. And the journey that I've been along, and of course we all rotated, so all of the teammates got to present, and then we gave feedback, and everybody gave you know, the main points why they like that person presenting, and then also Steve made a beautiful report and like kind of a put everything together in a report sheet. And that, you know, we shed tears and we shed laughter and joy together, and it really bonded us in a different into a new level. So that was, you know, a really touching experience, and also the whole experience of going through the course led to significant growth. So there were some teammates who were, you know, maybe not finding themselves part of the culture, or not being sure was the product we were working with, you know, resonating with them, with their own values. But after the LPS course, they found that it actually really was. And you know, we've had significant growth in a product, a health product that we're selling in Finland of over 50% during the last 6 months. And I would say a big thanks to that is because of the LPS program. So that's why I'm also here to help you guys and gals out. I'd love to hop on a discovery call with you. In that call, you're going to be doing most of the talking. I'll be doing the listening, and together we will discover your why and what your perfect day in the office looks like, and how the LPS will help you get there. So yeah, thanks for hearing me out, and looking forward to talking to you soon on the discovery call.
Awesome, Mikko. Thank you, buddy. So you heard Mikko. So a couple of offers. Go to the link that Steve has posted in the chat box, and you've seen it also on this page, and you can sign up to the 12-weeker. It ends, this offer, at the end of business on the 19th of February this week, and the course starts already on the 3rd of March. It's going to be worth it, believe me, guys. I can only share with you my enthusiasm for wanting to help you, and I know this stuff works. I know it works. I've been working with it for 20 years now. And as Mikko said, there's a free discovery consultation call on offer as well. And the main purpose of that is to help you identify, make sure you are on the right goal path in your team or organization, and gain clarity on where you want to go. So as Mikko said, he won't be doing very much talking on that call, but he'll be doing a lot of listening and asking you a lot of coaching type questions to really encourage you to discover where you want to go on this journey yourself. And at the end of that call as well, there's an opportunity to have a free test drive of my online program with me. So if you're curious about that, book the call with Mikko. There's also a booking link on the page you see here, webinar limbicperformancesystem.com. And we can set up a test drive with me. Mikko's got access to my calendar for the next few days, and I can give you a personalized introduction to the program and explain how it works. That's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I truly hope you found it useful. I love sharing this stuff, and I would love to meet up with you virtually, or maybe one day in person, and share this stuff more with you. I'm going to hand back to Steve just to say the closing words and then to close the session.
Thank you, Steve. Very inspirational. And thank you to all of you joining here. It would have been nice to be with you. I hope that will come soon so that we can see each other around. And maybe it was clear already, but we are running these programs simultaneously in 3 or 4 companies right now, with quite good effect around. So that's also interesting to maybe hear about. But thank you for being here. Have a good day. Have a wonderful week, and have a safe day. See you around. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.